Hi everyone. So the album Misterioso, which I'm on with Tain Watts and Mark Turner, is going to be released on vinyl in April. So I thought I would do a lesson or just maybe talk a bit about the album, how it came to be, and how I sort of practiced for it and various things about the recording. So, and by the way, there are liner notes on the back of the vinyl which I have written, which explain a lot of this stuff more clearly than I'm going to explain it now, probably. So, I had first met Mark Turner and Tain Watts on an album which was recorded in 1999 by the great British piano player Jason Rebello, who's a great piano player. He actually played with Wayne Shorter's band for a bit. He played with Sting and the pop gig. He was very Kenny Kirklandy, and so he loved Jeff's playing. So he went over to New York and took me as a young bass player, not really good enough, but showed potential, to record an album. And that album was Next Time Round, and he got Mark Turner on saxophone. And I don't think you can find that album anywhere. So anyway, that was when I first met those two guys. And actually from that recording, Tain Watts then sort of liked my playing enough to recommend me for some Branford gigs and various things in the future. And that's how I got to kind of meet and start playing with Jeff a lot. So I have Jason Rebello to thank for that one thing, that kind of connected me. I should thank him more. Actually, since 1999, and the album Misterioso wasn't recorded until 2020, I don't think Mark and Jeff had actually played together at all. So, but what they had been talking about wanting to play with each other, because I'd been playing with Tain and I'd also been playing with Mark in Jochen Ruckert's band. And so I decided to make that happen. So I got a gig at Smalls, and this was in January 2020, I think. Yes, and I hired Mark and Jeff, and they were both available, luckily. That's the great thing about New York, is you've got all these amazing players who want to play and who are local. So we did a gig. I don't know, we just picked some tunes that we liked. We didn't overthink it, and it was a really fun gig. And then actually soon after that, Mark got asked to do a record on GSI Records, which was sort of curated by Eric Harland, and he asked Mark to do it, and Mark couldn't do his own band because he was on the ECM, so he said, could we do a collaborative thing with you and Jeff? And I was like, yes, that's great, I'd love to, obviously. And so we eventually went into the studio August. The gig, Smalls, was in January, went into the studio in August of that year, 2020, and we did 2 separate days in the studio, one in August and one in September. And me and Mark did drive down to Tain Watts' sanctuary, his church. He lives in an old church that he has all his disciples come down and follow him. And we did a little rehearsal, just hung out and talked about some tunes we wanted to play. We didn't want to overthink it. And so we sort of picked some tunes, and then I sort of knew what I wanted to practice. So I had some time to practice what we were going to record. And so the first tune ended up being, one of the tunes we liked the most, Misterioso. That, again, I'm sorry, I've talked about this tune a lot, but it's a great tune to practice for bass players. You learn the melody. It's a slow B-flat blues. You learn the melody, and then, which is double time, and then the blues is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can use the melody in your head to switch between regular time and double time. So I'm using that, having that melody in my head just to gauge the right double time, and then when I'm switching back to the half time, I'm subdividing with a triplet before I do it, so I don't slow down when I go back. So it's a good tune for just practicing the slow blues and having an emotional emotional attachment to something other than a metronome marking. So I practiced Misterioso like that, and Also, when we came to record it, I remember that Jeff actually started playing it slower than I'd been practicing it. So it took me a second just to really latch onto his ride cymbal beat. And I'm not sure if it's the first take. It might be the second take that we ended up using. Or maybe it is the first take. I can't remember. I think we only did 2 takes, and so anyway. But I sort of latched onto his beat because it's Jeff Tain Watts. I'm really focused on hooking up with him. So fortunately, when I practiced Misterioso, I practiced a tempo, got used to one, and then I did shift it around just to see how that makes me feel. So you try it a bit slower. Just how does that feel? So that helped me focus and lock in with Jeff. So obviously I have that trust in Tain that where he wants it and where he plays it is good. So I locked in with him. So that was Misterioso. Yesterday's is my suggestion of playing. Yesterday's I like playing it in 5. So that was my sort of suggestion, and I'd play a little bass intro. I think Mark wanted me to do it, or maybe I just did it on the gig before, and he says, "Oh yeah, do that," and then set it up. So that's Tain. Me and Tain. I played it in 5/4 with Tain a lot, and he has a bunch of tunes in 15/8, like a triplety swing 5, and so that was just a lot of fun playing with him. Now the way that Tain and Mark sound on that tune I think are amazing, because they're just so fluent in 5, but it's nothing too clever. It's just sort of melody and language and intensity and groove, and just not overthinking it, you know. So that's one of my favorite tunes on the album, and I guess that's why that's number 2. We both liked it. Now coming to the mix of the album, the studio we recorded in was a very small studio, so there wasn't like big natural room sound. Especially the drum booth was small, and me and Mark were in the same room with just one kind of separation, so we couldn't, and I don't think there were any edits on the album. We couldn't edit, you know, stuff anyway, but so we were kind of bleeding a bit into each other. And this one, Jeff actually hits the drums really hard, and Josh, the engineer, Josh Giunta, did a really good job of not making the drums sound too compressed. However, mixing this album, I can say now, was a really long process, because me and Mark were doing it remotely with Josh, and we're not super sort of technical. We don't really know what we're talking about, but we know what we like aesthetically, and so we were just sort of suggesting a lot of things to Josh, who was very giving, but it was just like he was adding more and more makeup to the recording, and it was just becoming more and more dense. And at one point we just had to say, sorry, can we start again, and just keep it really simple. And then we gave him the reference albums. I think I gave him Crescents, and maybe Mark suggested Dharma Days that he liked from his albums, and then we took it from there. And Josh, I have to say, did such a great job, considering we'd kind of given him a lot of conflicted information, or just he tried a lot of things out, and we said, you know, just take everything off and keep it simple. So Josh did a great job with the mixing and mastering to kind of keep it in the aesthetic that we wanted it. So Lazy Bird is just one of those tunes, you know, fast tunes that we like to play. We played it on the live gig. There might be a sort of illegal version of that on YouTube, someone filmed. And Mark suggested the drum vamp, that the little bit figure that we play behind the drums. Now with the Lazy Bird, Mark wanted me to start with a bass solo. He said, why don't you start with a bass solo? And probably because he sets it up, you know, there's a lot of sax, and he wanted to kind of have that shape to it. And so, yeah, I started a bass solo, and I was just decided to do a walking bass solo because I wanted to keep the intensity up, and I didn't feel I could have the volume in my headphones for my 8th note. I couldn't really hear myself with how loud Tain was in my headphones, or how loud he's playing. So I just felt like I wanted to play walking and just keep the energy up and have it like that sort of solo. Now I could have probably started playing this sort of more of a linear 8th note solo, but then the volume would have come down. Everything Jeff would have to play quietly, and it just felt like, I didn't want to sort of force it in that direction, just so I could show off with my 8th notes. Anyway, always a walking bass solo is always a first option for me. Oh yeah, that's fine, let's just do a walking bass solo. It's a strong statement, and walking bass is good enough on its own. We don't need a sax player to get over the top of it. Anyway, so that was Lazy Bird, and then Sunday is a Tom Harrell tune, which is just a completely different vibe that Mark suggested. It's just sort of straight groove tune. Now Countdown, Countdown, we also did, it was actually just a suggestion of mine as when we had some time. He said, what else can we record? And I suggested Countdown, and I think because it was just not thought of before, it was just like, oh, let's call this. It actually turned out quite nice. The arrangement was quick arrangement. I decided to, so let's do a rubato and see where it goes, see if we can bring in the changes or whatever. And then I decided to keep it very much like there's an Al Trio version of Countdown. Al Trio is another band they're playing without drums, where I just reduced the harmony to its simplest form. So it's just D, then C, and then B flat. So that's how we did that, and I felt like that came out quite well, and it kind of morphs into time and stuff. It just felt organic and not over premeditated, we're just doing. So the last two tunes, there's also Reflections by Monk. Unfortunately, that's not going on the vinyl. We couldn't squeeze that on, but that's the Monk slow ballad, Reflections. You can listen to that on Bandcamp streaming and stuff. The last two tunes are contrafacts. The Ores Nri, I can't pronounce. I know that's an acronym for, is that like an anagram for something? Sorry, Mark, I've forgotten. But it's a contrafact on Erigin, which is an anagram of Nigeria, right? Or backwards. So that tune's probably the hardest tune on the whole recording because it has a sort of some weird hits for the drums at the end of the form, but the form is on Erigin. It's just on Erigin, so that was fun. Again, that was like one of those tunes that I felt like could speed up, so I was just trying to hold my tempo and just keep it there and try and have that melody in my head, so when it came back, the rhythm of the melody, at least, it wasn't like because that definitely doesn't work when it gets too fast. So Dingle Dangle is Jeff Tain Watts' contrafact on Monk's Twinkle Twinkle, same chords and stuff with a 2/4 bar there in there. So that's a super fun, happy tune, which is always great with someone like Jeff. And I talk a bit about this in the liner notes, and Mark too. They're both their dispositions, how they carry themselves, it's very kind of laid back and humorous too, and that was such a nice atmosphere to be around. So there's a lot of times where, and maybe it's an age thing too, I know Jeff says when he was younger he was a bit more, things had to be right, but he's very laid back and say, oh, this is cool, let's see what happens, and let's go with the flow. And Mark is exactly the same too. So that's so nice to be around these such kind of virtuosic, intense musicians, but they're very laid back about how they just carry themselves. So in the liner notes too, I also sort of try and put into words why I think Jeff Tain Watts and Mark Turner are such amazing musicians. And basically all I talk about is that they have that perfect balance between sort of tradition and sort of exploration. And they've found that kind of mysterious, beauty, where they're authentically doing what they do. It's not too contrived, it's just natural, and they've got enough of that tradition, and they've got enough of that kind of forward thinking and openness, and they've just found that great balance. Their journeys have been like that, which have shaped them in that way. So that's basically the whole what I have to say about the album. I wonder if there's anything else I'm missing out, but obviously you can ask me about the album yourself and what else I practiced. There's a few tunes that didn't get on there. Along Came Betty, it's really good, but Mark didn't want it on there. It's a democracy, so I had to give in. There's also we recorded Mark's arrangement of It's All Right With Me. I think he's recorded that on his own albums, and that was very difficult and very fast 6/4 walking. So that was really hard. So that was good to get my chops up. I definitely practiced a lot of fast 6/4 walking. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's a good way to practice playing, getting your chops together. And that is basically all I have to say. Another good thing from just a personal point of view is that listening to myself, I definitely hear all the bad intonation. That's the stuff that bothers me the most. So every recording situation is such a learning experience that, you know, I recommend if you're not doing it, try and do these recordings. Just try and have these things, because you're really under the microscope, and it really it's like doing 2 months of practice in one day. You know, you really get to see your flaws, and you really get to get better, you know. So one of the things that bothers me is my intonation, especially on my solos, which comes through quite a lot. But that's my own problem. Yeah, so that's basically it. I've been going on for 15 minutes, so please ask me any questions about the practicing and the bass or the album. I think I mentioned it before, but there's a countdown lesson on the old In the Shed, where I just talk about just reducing it to its key centers. Now that's dangerous if you can't play on countdown and play the changes, but you can reduce those Coltrane changes sometimes to their just basic key centers of the augmented axis, so the 3 keys on each pedal point, which can help free you up if you're soloing on it or trying to just get away from boxed in bass lines. But that's quite an advanced thing, but check out that lesson or reach out to me and I can talk to you about it. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.